Mhm.
Wonderful, good stuff. Okay, let me just go to the next one. Move that over here. Okay. Um, why does PowerPoint give you so many screens? It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Mm.
So welcome to today's session. I think we're in session 6. I know we've had a bonus session in there when we were talking about tracking because of the complexities around tracking. We've got the numbering on. I'll just update it afterwards. But we're going to talk about social ads today. So this is the most important, I suppose, for many of you have been waiting for this session because we've spent a lot of time preparing the ground with empathy maps, with our content maps, our avatar worksheets. We've been doing a lot of work, pre-work, and this is now where the rubber starts hitting the road. And this is essentially the presentation around Facebook and TikTok ads. You'll see that most of this presentation is not about so much the actual mechanics, because you will find that in the actual course, what's it called? Sorry, the media buying course from Kasim. So a lot of the sort of technical stuff around audiences and things like that, although we'll be covering it, but the main purpose of today's presentation is how you should actually go about setting up. So I'm going to show you exactly what we do with all of our clients, and we're talking, my goodness, over the people that we've served over the last year, easily 100 to 200 clients. This is the process that we've fine-tuned over about 4 to 5 years to find ourselves in a spot that we have a lot of predictability and a lot of certainty coming out of the campaigns. So with that said, let me go straight into it. So we're going to start going through everything with Facebook. It's a majority of the presentation today is around Facebook, because you will see that TikTok is very, very similar. We're going to have a look at TikTok towards the end of today's presentation, but I want to just go through and make sure you do the setups essential. So if you've never run Facebook ads before, it's super, super important to separate essentially your private world of Facebook away from your business world of Facebook. So the way you do that is you go ahead and create what's known as a business manager account. Who's heard of business manager? Probably quite a few of you. Yeah, sure. So I suspected as much, but let me actually open the chat box so I can just keep a little eye on the thing. Yeah. Okay. So business manager, if you don't already have an account, you need to create one. If you're the owner of the business, that's fine. You just go to business. You do need a Facebook profile, so you do need to be on Facebook. You can't create a business manager account without being on Facebook in the first place. You just go to business.facebook.com and then you just sign up. There's a very simple sign up process, ask for your business name and that sort of thing. Now you're allowed, just so you know, business managers are sometimes subject to shutdowns. So you have to be very cautious, and I'm sure you've got some questions about it. I will try to talk about a little bit about the security aspects around Facebook, because Facebook are notorious for shutting down ad counts and business managers and personal profiles restricted from advertising. There's a lot of restrictions in Facebook, so you do have to be careful, but Facebook does make a lot of mistakes as well on that particular regard. So go ahead and create one if you don't already have done so, and then within your business manager you need to go and just simply go into add an ad account, as you can see on the screen here. Just be careful that you can't actually change the currency and time zone. And so do put the time zone. So for example, if you have an e-commerce store which is set up on a time zone, make sure that you create the ad account on the same time zone as your e-commerce setup. Okay. Make sure also that if you are just running, for example, a funnel which involves gathering appointments and generating leads, that your Google Analytics account is also set up on the same time zone. Everything should be on the same time zone, essentially. Otherwise, when you're looking at data on a day-to-day basis, you're going to find that everything, the numbers are not going to line up as well, because one might be in let's say Eastern, and another one would be in Pacific time zone. So make sure you set everything up with the correct time zone. Then you go ahead and create a page if you don't already have one, and what's known as the pixel. This is the infamous tracking pixel. And then what you do is once you have created your pixel, you go into a screen, which we'll see another screen in a moment, but you have to connect the pixel to the ad account. So you can see our ad account here. I've deleted the pixel temporarily and then I added it back afterwards, but you would add, essentially, this is the pixel here, and I would just connect the ad account to that pixel, okay? So that's the sort of setup part of the equation. Oh, we got a guest doggy on the show today. All right, next step, make sure you verify your domain, okay? This is where you create your ad accounts, your pages. This is where you create your pixel. This is in your business settings area within the business manager. But for the domain, you have to follow the instructions that you get to your screen. Now, we've got tons of domains in here because we've got about 100 clients in here. So we've got all of these domains verified, but you have to go and verify your domain. Without it, your tracking will not work, and therefore your campaigns will show the wrong data, or it won't track correctly, okay? When you go into domains, you should see your domain in here, and then you just follow the instructions, which is basically copying this little piece of code in here, and then you put it into the head section of the website's home page. And then once you've done that, you just click on this button, verify domain, and then it should come up with the badge verified when it's done that. It may take a little while to do this because when you update your website, sometimes it takes what's known as the DNSs, the domain name service, to catch up, but it shouldn't be more than half an hour to an hour at the most, okay? Next step, after this is all the setup stuff, remember? In what's known as in your events manager. Now, if you don't know how to get to events manager, you can just simply open the ad account, and then there's 3 little bars on the top left-hand side, and then you'll see an option called events manager. What you have to go is select the pixel that you have created from the step before, and you simply go in, once you've got your domain verified, you go into the events manager and you set up your aggregated events. You just click on this little tab here in the events manager called aggregated events. You do configure web events, and then you'll see your domain listed here, and then you can click on manage events. We've already got one set up on our particular domain, that's our domain. And we just click on manage events, and then you can choose up to 8 standard events, okay? You can see here, this is all related to the iOS 14 updates, okay? So this is very, very important. With e-commerce, there are several options, but you should put the most important one. In e-commerce, you would put purchases here. These are standard events. Remember, when we were talking about tracking, we said, do not use custom conversions, use standard events. And that's covered in the tracking training that we did, I believe last week it was. So with that said, make sure you go ahead and create the events. If you're an e-commerce store, you would probably have, well, you would have purchases as your primary, most important event. And because Apple will track at least one event, it doesn't guarantee the others. You've got up to 8. But you go ahead and create purchases, then you can do initiate checkout and then add to cart. And then finally view product would be your 4th event. So you can, those would be the 4 main ones. If you're running an appointment funnel, then clearly that's going to be probably your most important event is going to be schedule, because the most important event you want to track and want to optimize your campaigns for is the schedule event. After that, it's probably lead, and that's it, because those are the 2 main events in a classical appointment funnel. Okay. By the way, if you do have questions, do pop them in the chat box so you don't forget, because when we reach the end of this Facebook section, I will go through all your Facebook questions on this section of slides, and there's about 15 slides to go, everybody, folks, so just so you know. But if there's nothing, we'll move forward. Now, I just want to explain how this overall process. So we have three main phases in our Facebook ad process build. Okay, we have a phase one, which is basically pre-launch. That normally takes us 30 days because, and I put 30 days there because we're also doing a lot of tech setup with our clients. So that gives you time to go and create the tracking, set up the Google Analytics, helps you to make sure all the pixels are shared across to you if you happen to be an agency or a consultant. And I will actually just take a little pause there. If you are an agency consultant, you will have to have your own business manager representing your agency, okay? And then you will have essentially, you will have to request your client to share access with you through what's known as a partner ID. Each business ID has a unique 14-digit, I believe it is, ID. You just give the client your ID and you ask them to add you as a admin partner, what's known as an admin partner, okay? Once they do that, you will see that that will actually come up in your own business manager when you're the agency itself, okay? So the pre-launch phase is essentially 30 days. It gives you time to onboard a client in an agency setting. If you're in a different environment, your own business, it gives you plenty of time, or it should give you plenty of time when it comes to all the tech setup, making sure your funnels are working, etc., and your tracking as well, okay? So the other part of it, obviously, is now the Facebook ads, and this is the main bulk of what we're going to be going through. So in phase one, we're going to talk about phase two and phase three in our other session, which I believe will actually be this time next week, because on Tuesday, we're going to talk about Google search ads and YouTube ads on Tuesday. And then the following session after that is all about your initial testing and how you make decisions in your campaigns on what to kill, what to relaunch, what sort of priorities you should have. That's coming in next Thursday session. Today is just all about the process that one goes through when you're setting up your Facebook ads. Okay, so the first place you're going to start with, and it's probably the most lengthiest part of the process, is coming up with your copy. For those of you who not run Facebook ads at all, this is just the different sections of an ad. So you've got what's known as the copy up here. This is what we call the creative, which is this section here. It could be an image or a video. This is your headline, and this is your CTA, or call to action. And there are lots of different choices in your call to action that Facebook gives you. The one that most of the time we launch with is learn more. So that's the sort of just a layout of an ad, just so you can see it. But what you've got to do really is start preparing 5 long copy. Now, I alluded to this the other day. Remember that short, medium, and long copy, they're kind of flexible in the lengths. We've had long copy as long as 2,000 words, believe it or not. You've had short copy, which has just been literally 3 to 5 or 7 sentences at the most, okay? And it's very typical. We saw some examples with the unicorn ads that you saw the other day, particularly in the e-commerce sort of field, okay? What you're going to do is, once you're going to be using those copywriting frameworks, and make sure that at least 2 of them are on the direct straight up version. So you're going to obviously have to go back to the presentation. We gave you 10, if you recall. What we found is that in order to get cold traffic running and results coming in faster, we found that direct straight up versions work quite well very quickly with respect to others. The others tend to take a little bit longer, not a huge amount. And there are changes, but when we look at historically, we found that when you include a couple of direct straight up versions, that's actually more beneficial for you, in the sense that the results should come a little bit quicker. Then you're going to create basically the same variations, but with short copy, so just a few lines, and then 5 headlines of the ad itself, and then you can use the same 5 headlines, or you can use variations, because as you can see in this example, in this particular creative, we've actually got kind of a headline built into the image, okay? But you could use the same. You could quit wasting time creating presentations directly in here with a call to action button and all the rest of it. Although that's just a fake button, right? So that's on the copy side. Okay, how we're doing on time. I just want to make sure I'm pacing this properly. It looks like I'm doing very well. Next step, you need to get 10 images from your client or from your business. Okay, so they could be, for example, if it's more along the personal brand, again, you can engage like the copywriting frameworks. Do you remember we talked about demonstration the other day? So you might have an image or a short GIF, an animated GIF. Is everyone familiar with an animated GIF? If not, let me know in the question box so we can add it to the list of questions. But you can use animated GIFs, or you can use, of course, video, which we'll come on to in a moment. But essentially, you need to get 10 images demonstrating the product. It could be something more motivational. It could be something which is directly related to the program or the problem that you are attempting or offering to solve. Could be shots of you or your team in a training session with folks, business owners, for example, or a conference that you've attended. Could be lifestyle. And basically you're going to get 10 of them together, and then you're going to choose what you perceive as being the best. Now, the most important factor in Facebook ads is to get them to stop to the scrolling in their feed. Okay, as soon as you stop them, then you've got a better chance of them consuming the headline and the copy itself. All right, but the most important element to getting your ads working is by far the image. Okay, so first of all, go out and get 10 images from your client, from your product team. It might be you in a conference, those sort of things. Okay, carrying on with this theme, the next stage is to also get or make 5 infographics or product images. So if you are offering like a free download, which is a book, a booklet, a cheat sheet, and that sort of thing, get someone to make an image. You can go to fiverr.com to find that. There's other services out there like No Limits Creative. There's lots of providers out there. Just if you have it in-house, so much the better. It will get done quicker for you, obviously, but try to use 5 infographics or kind of product images in there as well. Okay, so you can see, like, for example, here there's a dummies book which is getting promoted, persuasive speakerology methodology. There's just tons of different options out there. So we've got 10 images. You're going to select 5 that you get from the client or that you get from your own internal team. Okay, and then you're going to take 5 product images. Next, so videos. Here we go with videos. Now, with videos, we'll talk about videos a little bit more later in the session. But what you want to do is you want to go back to your content mapping document. Do you remember we were doing the content mapping? I think it was Nicholas, wasn't it, that we were doing the content mapping with about the dog harnesses and that sort of thing. What you need to do is start shooting and editing 3 cold buckets, which many of you would have identified as top of funnel, 3 warm bucket videos, which is middle of funnel, and then 3 case study or testimonial, which we call bottom of funnel. That's all within the context of your content. So remember, one of the most important things you've got to do is do all the preparation, like we've said many times before, then produce the video, edit the video, and then remember, they don't need to be longer than sort of 2 minutes, generally speaking. So if you're more comfortable doing that over a script, then by all means do it through a script. The next thing is, if possible, it would be great if you can produce what's known as an explainer style video. It's about 2 minutes long. I'll get one uploaded into the membership area to give you an example. I've just taken a screenshot here. Again, this is where you need someone that knows how to deal with animations, but it literally is a type of video where you're explaining the problem and offering sort of some kind of solution, and then you're going to guide them to a call to action. So we use these videos in Facebook and in YouTube as well. Okay, what we find is that the click-through rates on these type of videos, we've tested, I've lost count how many we've tested, a lot of them. So when it comes to the explainer style videos, by all means, if you can do it, it may be a little bit expensive for your initial budget, but it's something which is certainly worth doing. Okay, so that's on the video side of things. Now I'm going to talk about audiences. In fact, why don't I just pause there, because now I've talked about the creative preparation first, and then why don't I just go ahead and answer perhaps if there's any questions here.
Yes, there are. We have one from Robert who says, any aversion to using memes as part of the creative? I know they're not necessarily on brand per se, but since this is interruptive on Facebook, IG, are they worth using?
Absolutely, yeah. No problem at all. No problem at all using memes. Yep, it can be part of, we can be part of your 5 testing. The main point we're trying to drive through here, everybody, and Robert, is that you need to have approximately 10 different creatives at hand. Okay, now you can mix them up with memes. Maybe you're going to have 3 product images and 2 memes, for example. That's absolutely fine. It's a good point, actually. But those are the ones we generally start out with. Memes maybe a little bit more difficult to, because you need some creativity around there. It really comes down to time and trying to make this a straightforward production process, if that makes sense, as factory as possible, right, within the sense of what creative means. But creative is a very interesting area, you know.
Yes, it is. So Chris is saying, how does prioritizing the events in the standard event screens show up in actually using them in campaigns? Meaning, if I have a campaign, I'm wanting leads for, and another that's for purchases, how does that event screen affect this?
So essentially, when you go into Facebook ads, and maybe I should add a screenshot at some point of this, but when you go into Facebook ads, you're going to set up your columns with certain standard columns, and we'll show you what they are when we actually look into the optimization side of things. But you're going to see leads, for example. You're going to pull up a column called leads. You're going to pull up a column called schedule. You're going to pull them up, and they're going to show up against every campaign, every ad set, and every ad that you have within those ad sets and campaigns. So the question is, the prioritization is just a reflection of the restrictions that iOS 14 have placed upon us as advertisers. What Facebook and Apple have said is that they will almost certainly guarantee at least 1 event to be tracked. But as far as other events, like in the case of an e-commerce, where you've got view content, which is the standard event to view a product page. You're going to have add to cart, which is when they click on and actually visit the cart page. And then you've got the initiate checkout process, which is another page. And then you've got the purchase thank you page. Okay. So those are 4 different events that you need to track in e-commerce. What iOS 14 is doing is just restricting it to guarantee that 1 will come through, but not necessarily all 4. So you have to make a decision on your prioritization. And so you have to choose the most important one that you have in your funnel. In the case of an e-commerce, it's always going to be purchase. In the case of a appointment funnel, it's always going to be, we recommend using schedule because that's what it is. Some clients use complete registration, others use other types of things. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question. Let me go and see if I can scroll down and answer the question here. How does prioritizing events and stand show up in the event screen show up using them in campaigns? So yes. So let me just open the question box a little bit bigger. My apologies. There we are. Okay. Yeah. So this, how does prioritizing the events and the standards show up in actually using them in the campaigns? You're going to see them in your columns. Okay. And if we got, when I go off screen, I can just take a screenshot of one very quickly to show you what I mean. But the standard events are going to show up. So you're going to have campaign number 1, and then you're going to have your columns like CPC, cost per click. You're going to have CTR percentage, all. You're going to have CTR, outbound, CTR, click-through rate, link clicks. You're going to have CPM. You're going to have all these columns. By default, you won't have the standard event column. So you're going to have to customize your columns. And I'll do a screenshot and put it actually in Slack. That will be the easiest thing. So your standard events, Chris, will show up in the Facebook ads dashboard. Okay. So I don't know if I'm answering the question, Chris, but if not, please just confirm for us in the chat box here. Who have we got next?
Next up we have is Mahai saying, what are best practices for infographics for info products?
Right. So for info products, generally we're using like anything that may show, you've got to somehow demonstrate or show the products, you know. So you might produce, for example, for info products, it's like a course. You're going to show maybe a book or not a DVD. That's old now, of course, but you tend to use, I'll get some examples for you. I think the best way to do is to get some examples over into Slack or to add on to this presentation, Mihai, because we certainly have quite a lot of those. But they tend to be sort of like icons or a reflection somehow of the course, you know? Does that make sense initially? I think the best thing is to give you an example, Mihai. Okay, next one.
Next up is Uzair is asking, what kind of content should we shoot for MoFu?
Right, so this is where, yeah, someone's actually answered it here. It's from the content mapping session. I'll try to get the template up immediately, or soon. But essentially, it's where you're talking about your origin story. It's more of a philosophical content. So top of funnel is more about, hey, you've got this problem. This is the tip I would use to get over this problem. Then the middle of funnel would be something like, well, you know, the reason we came up with these solving all these problems is because we struggle with this all the time. And the only way we could figure out is to systemize everything. So it's more about like talking the next level of depth of what the why you've come up with this or so on. I don't know if that's answering the question. I think we need to look at the content mapping document again. I'll put it up, but it's more on the sort of philosophical area, or it might be around your process, or it might be around your system. So it's more direct communication, if that makes sense.
It does to me.
And good. Okay.
So Victoria is saying all of my current testimonials are all text-based. Mm-hmm. Can I put the text into a video and use it that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you don't have any sort of video content, that's absolutely fine. But yes, you can use them text-based, absolutely. If you want to put it in a video, you can do that. And you can introduce the client. You can even do, like, for example, you could do just initially present the case, what the problem you solved, and then there's the content, the current testimonial, and this is what Suzanne had to say, for example. Or you can use that, you can use it that way in a video, or you can use it just literally as a screenshot. If ideally on testimonials, you should be getting video testimonials. Now, I know that's often harder sometimes we're embarrassed to ask, right? But if someone genuinely is happy, do ask them. And if you have a little bit of a relationship with that client, or process of that client, then, you know, there's no harm in asking. You do need to get their permission to use it in the marketing, of course, because testimonials are regulated by the FTC, by the way. So you do have to be careful with them. And some people may not want to use their surname, and that's fine. But yes, if they're all text-based, you can just put the text into a video and use it that way, you know? You could use like a little PowerPoint slide and all the rest of it. Absolutely.
All right, so Natalie is asking, do you use all three types of videos at the same time, or do you do cold bucket for the first 2 weeks, then warm bucket, etc.?
Great question. I'm going to come on to that in a minute.
All
Once I
right.
go through the audiences. Yeah, I'm going to show you what that looks like.
Chris has a follow-up to his question, says, if I have an appointment funnel where on my web pages, I have the standard events code set up for lead and schedule, are you saying that based on what I set up for the prioritization, potentially either the lead or schedule event will be tracked?
Yes, that's right. There's a guarantee. So I would do schedule first and then lead second. Now, most of them will come through, Chris. I'm not saying all of them will come through. Remember what I mentioned in the tracking session, that only about 90% of tracking is accurate. 99, it's not like an accounting system. So if you got, I would put schedule first as your priority and then lead as second, but both should get tracked. Both should get tracked, okay? What you'll find is that you will, when you go into the Facebook Ads Manager interface, you'll find that the schedule will be quite accurate and maybe the lead will not be accurate. It'll be either overfiring or underfiring. And the way to get around that is to go back to the session where we talked about offline conversions and things like that and setting up your conversions API. If you've got conversions API, your accuracy will go up a lot. If you're using just pixel page view tracking, then the accuracy goes down. But it's not either. Both will appear, Chris. Okay. Hope that answers the question, but keep asking because this is good stuff.
Yes, and we have one last question from Suzanne, who says, have you seen any difference in conversions if the sponsored link has a brand icon versus the human face of the company? For example, the digital marketer logo up there versus a picture of Ryan Deiss.
Really good question. The answer is no, but let me answer the question in a different way. If you are building a brand, it will take you a longer to get results. If it is a personal brand, i.e. a face, like for example, you got, you know, Ryan Deiss that would appear, but digital marketer built a brand. They've gone beyond Ryan. They built essentially a brand in the market and a positioning in the marketplace, which is very deliberate. Did digital marketer get there from day one? Of course not. They had to get leads, they had to get people to sign up for Digital Marketer Lab, etc., etc. The brand building process is a much longer. So the answer to your question is that it doesn't make a huge difference. You're talking about like when it appears on the page, like this one up here. This is a brand. It's called SlideQuest. It's not like Andy's PowerPoint infographics, right? it's called SlideQuest. It's a brand. But we don't see a tremendous amount of difference in conversions, no. But the longer answer to the question is that it does, generally speaking, if you're like providing a coaching offer, we generally use the face, the person that represents that brand. And for the longest of times, that was Ryan Deiss. Like on the Black Friday workshop, Black Friday specials that he did, it's always led by Ryan. I don't know if that's a good answer, but it's my answer.
Great.
Yeah.
And I did pass up, Brian asked a question. We'd asked about using memes. And Brian's saying, but would you have copyright issues with using a meme?
As long as you buy the correct rights to the image, that's fine. So each one, like Shutterstock, allows you to use images with the copyright included. So it will tell you explicitly. There's a famous meme that there's lots of them, but there was a famous meme with a guy that's walking with his girlfriend and he's looking back, seeing an attractive woman walk past. And obviously his girlfriend's looking at him quite angrily. But that was first seen in Shutterstock. You can go ahead and buy that image with the correct rights, so you don't get slammed with copyright. What you don't do is go to Google Images and start taking them from there. So do use like Adobe Stock, but Facebook has a built-in images that you can use that they have rights agreements with. So you can actually use images that are built in with the Facebook ad system. So you don't need to necessarily go and buy an image for $50 or whatever it is, $30. You can actually use their in images, you know. So that's the answer to that one.
Great, thank you. That was the last of our questions for this section.
Great. Okay, cool. I'm sure if there's more coming up that come up in your mind, folks, just pop it into the chat box and we'll pick it up after this next little section. Okay, so now the preparation phase, remember we're still in phase 1, is the audiences for your campaign. So these are the audiences that you have to create in the audiences option within Facebook ads. So again, when you're in the ads manager on the top left hand side, you've got the 3 arrows, and then you click on the option. Once you click on there, you can click on audiences. What you need to do is create 1% and 2% lookalike audiences of buyers. So what I mean by buyers is there's a purchase event. Remember, using standard events in Facebook. So you need to make a lookalike audience of the event called purchase. All right. If you are in, for example, I haven't included it on this slide deck, but if you have schedules, then you need to make an audience. Let's say you've got audiences, you've already run ads. You need to basically create lookalike audiences of people that are coming from your calendar system. Okay, so purchases, typically you're using the pixel, or you could upload a list of buyers. Okay, you can upload an actual list with their name, email address. You can even put their purchase values in there as well. So we like to use that, or the purchase event that has fired if you have any purchase event history on your pixel. Okay, but if you don't, then you go to the source of your platform. In this case, you would export all the orders that you've made in your e-commerce, and you would upload that into Facebook as an audience. Okay. Again, if you have schedules, you would go to your calendar system. You would export all of your people that have scheduled an appointment with you with their name, surname, first name, surname, and email address. And if you can add more, like date of birth, which is unlikely, then you can upload that as well. The more you upload to Facebook, the better. The more fields you can give to Facebook, the better it is. Okay. Same thing with leads. Let's say you're using ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, Aweber. Doesn't matter what system you're using. You will export all your leads from your CRM. Okay. You export it as a CSV, you're going to have name, usual things, and you upload it. Another lookalike audiences, so you're going to first do, there's actually 2 sets to this operation if you're not familiar with Facebook ads. So the first one is that you've got to upload what's known as a custom audience. So that would be your buyers, your leads from ActiveCampaign, etc. You would upload them. Then once you've uploaded them, then you can go ahead and create what's known as a lookalike audience, but you have to upload the source first. Okay. Now, website, if you've had a website up and running, that's the domain that you verified, you've had traffic going to that, like, I can't remember who it was that said they had 5,000 visits a day or 5,000 a month. That's a good number. Then what you would do is create a custom audience based off website visitors, which is providing you've had the pixel on there from the very beginning, which is, even if you're not, this is another thing I'm going to mention now. Folks, if you're not going to run ads for the next 6 months, that's fine. But please, please, please set up your tracking and the Facebook pixel, the conversions API, as soon as possible, because all that's happening is that your Facebook will be collecting that data in your pixel on your behalf in the meantime. And when you come 6 months down the road and you're going to run ads, then you're going to have a bunch of data on there already in your ad account, or rather in your pixel, I should say. Okay, so make sure that you set that all up as soon as you can. Even if you're planning not to because you're too busy right now, you can't run ads until 2023, fine, no problem. That's not a crime. But please, please upload and make sure you get your pixel set up and all that conversions API stuff first. So once you've created the custom audiences, you're going to create lookalikes off them at 1% and 2%. In Facebook, you can go up to 10%, and we actually do go up to 10% actually in the end. But just for launch, for phase 1, just create 1% and 2% lookalike audiences for now. You can go ahead and create the others if you wish to, but that's what we do. So if you've got people visiting your website, maybe you're going to have Facebook or Instagram engagers. So they're engaging with your content, your organic content. If you're going to do the organic content, then you're in Facebook or in Instagram and you've built a following, etc., you've taken the organic route, then you're going to have an audience that is built up and is accessible, which is either Facebook page engagers or your Instagram engagers, you know. Okay. Now that's going to be 40% of your budget. And I'm going to give you an example at the end of this section around audiences. Okay. So that's that part. Now, next audiences. Next one. The next set of audiences you're going to research for your campaigns are what's known as cold interests. So cold interest is, they're different categories. They're like experts and influencers, publications, websites, podcasts, YouTube channels. Another good targeting, which sometimes some people have difficulty with, for example, let me give you an example. Let's say someone's interested in, let's say you're a yoga teacher and you're offering online yoga classes, okay? There isn't a thing called, there is an interest called yoga, okay? But you're not interested, let's say you're interested in, no, let me take that back. Let's say you're interested in selling a coaching program to other yoga studio owners who want to find out how to teach yoga online, and you're coaching other yoga business owners. What you can do is target yoga and small business owner together, so that you are attracting people that are interested in yoga itself, which is going to be the yoga studio owner, but they're also a small business owner. Okay, so it's what's known in the option in Facebook ads as narrowing down. It's an option is that when you're going to create the audience and you go to the interest section, you can go narrowing down. Again, a lot of this is already in the other course, but if you want some more explanation or screenshots, I can certainly share them for you. Another targeting you can use in your cold interest area are fields of study. You're going to see a lot of them come up. You've got job roles like CEO, etc., chief operating officer, marketing director, that sort of thing. You'll find job roles there, plumbers, that sort of thing. All the sort of trade sort of stuff as well will appear in there. Then you've got like schools. So maybe your target audience have attended certain schools or educational institutions. They do come up. University of whatever, Wisconsin. They do come up. You just got to search in the interest area and then you'll be able to find it. Okay. So that's the second bucket of what we call cold interest targeting. You have to do a little bit of research in the ads manager itself. This is done in the ad set level. Okay. Again, 40% of your budget. Now, third audience. This is 15. So far we've got 80% of the budget. Now we're going to go up to 95%, 15% of the budget. And this is one of your Folks, this is one of the most powerful campaigns you can launch right at the beginning. It's what we know as retargeting. So these are people that have booked a call but haven't closed into a sale yet. Okay, so you want to send them, for example, to people that have booked a call, but you want to send an ad to them to try and get them over the edge. Your 10% discount is running out in 5 days from now, or in the next few days. Contact us again when you're ready to start. That's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Your lead list, for example. Okay, so when I'm talking about lead list is that you're going to, let's say you want to send an ad to people. Let's say you have an appointment funnel. So an appointment funnel is a landing page with an opt-in. Once they opted in, they see a video, a free video from you, which is the VSL, video sales letter. Then once they do that, they click on another button, which takes them to another page, which is a calendar. And then after the calendar booking, they get to a thank you page. So that's 4 pages in your funnel. Let's say you want to get people back on a call. They became a lead. So you would retarget the people that became leads, but hadn't booked a call. Okay. So you would be essentially setting up a campaign with an ad set that says, I want to send this to all my leads, which is the custom audience that you've already uploaded in step 1. Okay. But you are going to, by the way, you're going to optimize that campaign for schedule, because that's what you want. You're telling Facebook, I want people to schedule. But you're going to exclude everybody, basically. You don't want to include everybody. So this is where exclusions become important. But the whole purpose of retargeting, and it's a small amount of money, and the reason it's a small amount of money is because what will happen is that you'll be showing that ad over and over again, and you'll be burning that ad out very quickly, which is why it's a small percentage of your budget. So a lead list, so for example, you could retarget people that have visited your website, but they haven't actually been to your funnel yet. Okay, so you could say, I want to put in my targeting, include people that have visited my website in the last 30 days, but I want to exclude people that have already become leads or scheduled a call with me. You don't want to show the ad that's to someone that's already become a lead or have scheduled a call with you. Let me give you another example. Let's say someone has become a lead but hasn't scheduled a call with you yet to get a quote or whatever it happens to be. Okay, they haven't actually done that yet, but they've become a lead. So you would, in your targeting, you would put lead, people that are your custom audience, which are the leads that have come in, for example, in the last 15 or 30 days. And then you would exclude people that have already scheduled. So you would include people that have become a lead, but you would exclude people that have already scheduled a call, because why would you show them an ad when they've already scheduled a call with you? Make sense? So that's 15%, it's retargeting. And so I'm put this emphasis is to make sure that you think carefully about your exclusion audience. Okay, now I know that can sound confusing, but I gave you a couple of examples, so if you do have questions on this, let me know. Great. So the fourth part is all related to that content mapping exercise. You're going to put about 5% of your overall budget to your video views. Okay, then we have the cold bucket, the warm bucket, and case study testimonial. You're going to take that 5% and break it out roughly in those sort of criteria, 70 and 20 and 10%. Okay, so this is warning. This is very, very important, everybody. I've shown you audiences number 1, 2, and 3. I'm come to number 4 now. Audiences number, let me go back there actually. So you're retargeting, and this is a common mistake that we see with so many advertisers, is unbelievable. For us, it's unbelievable, but it's not, it's normal, I think, when people are not so familiar with Facebook ads. These, when you're running campaigns for these audiences, please make sure you create what's known as conversion campaigns, not clicks campaigns, not lead ads, not engagement campaigns. No, there's a specific campaign type called a conversion campaign. And that is the one you absolutely must, without exception, choose when you are creating and preparing these campaigns for launch. They must be conversion type campaigns, and typically they'll be optimized for the first conversion point in your funnel initially. Okay, so if you've got the appointment funnel, that would be lead. Even if you have 0 leads, absolutely nothing, you're saying to yourself, you might be asking yourself, well, why would I set up a conversion campaign, Andy, when Facebook has never seen any conversions from me at all? This is when you're using standard events. Facebook understands within your targeting that when you set up a conversion campaign optimized for the lead event, based on the targeting that you're using, 1% lookalikes or whatever they happen to be, Facebook will know out of those who is most probable to convert, and will show that ad to people that convert. If you set up a campaign which is called clicks to website or website clicks, you will attract people that just do that. They click, but they don't convert. Okay, so it's very important that at the outset, when you're creating your campaign, create them as conversion campaigns. Do not create any other type of campaign. The only exception is in audience number 4, which is a video view type campaign. Okay, this is not a conversion campaign. When you go in and click on the create button in Facebook ads, and if you're not familiar with this, we can do like a little bonus session if you want on creating a Facebook ad from scratch, if that would be helpful, like a little tiny mini boot camp. If that's something you want to do, just let us know. We're flexible, as you know. We'll do that, and we'll show you what it really looks like in the flesh on creating a Facebook ad campaign, because you probably haven't had a chance to go through the other content. But if that's helpful, we'll do it, you know.
You've had an overwhelming yes, please. Yes, that will be awesome.
Oh, okay. We love bonuses. I can just see the chat now.
Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, well then we'll put it in for our next session. Will that work for you folks? We'll sort of somehow do a mixed jam session of Google, YouTube, and that sort of thing. I'll show you. I'll actually go into Facebook ads and create it literally from scratch. Okay, brand new ad account and all that sort of thing. You know, that would be fine, absolutely fine. So we'll do a little boot camp session on that for next Tuesday. Okay, so video views campaigns. This is the conversion type. It's not a conversion campaign, it's what's known as an engagement type campaign, and there's a subset in there called video views. Okay, so video views is optimizing the campaign to get, guess what, people that watch videos. We want them to consume your video. You can do something similar in YouTube, where you just want people to consume your content. Instead of waiting it to be organic, remember we called it paid organic. Well, this is what paid organic looks like in the flesh, and we'll see it again for real, you know. So essentially it's called a video view campaigns. Now, once you set out that campaign type, you're going to put about, as I said, 5% of your overall budget. So those are the audiences. We've talked about the copy, the creative. We've talked about audiences that you need to have ready before you press the button go. Okay, there's more though. I'm going to show you what it kind of looks like and how things are organized. Okay, so I'm going to use the example that we're spending $200 a day. Now in Facebook ads, all the ad platforms are very very similar. They have a typical structure where you have what's known as the campaign level, and one campaign can contain many ad sets, and one single ad set can contain many ads. So it's a one-to-many relationship in the way you set these things up. You have one campaign. So campaign number one, for example, is we've given it a naming convention. It's very important to keep your naming convention clean so that you can remember what the heck you did and what campaigns you've run in the past. So this is the generic naming convention that I recommend you use. We normally use like 7M or 7mm for 7 Mile here, because sometimes we come into situations where clients or my boss or whoever's run campaigns and they've got their campaigns, and you can't differentiate your campaigns from their campaigns. So you run into ad accounts that have already had some history in them. So we like to make sure that we name them properly. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it campaign 1. We put 7M. And then what we do is put a dash, or you can use the pipe symbol if you prefer. That's fine. Funnel name, because you may be running paid ads to different funnels. You may have a book funnel. You may have e-commerce is probably just one funnel. Okay, unless you're doing something specific in e-commerce, like sending your traffic to a pre-sales page, or what's known as an advertorial page before you get to the product page, which is a very, very super powerful tactic in e-commerce. But just do it for some naming, for the sake of simplicity. We might put, for example, here book funnel. We might put here VSL funnel. Okay. Now, the thing that we put after that is cold. Okay, so this is a cold campaign. What does it mean, cold? Just to be super crystal clear about the wording cold. So cold means that they've never seen you, they've never heard of you, and you're literally going in and shoving an ad in their face. They've never seen you. You're literally going in cold, and you're trying to get a response from that ad, which is a click on that ad to your funnel. Okay, so we deliberately call this cold, just to make sure that it's super clear that this is a campaign designed to reach brand new people that have never ever heard of you. Okay, and then we use like LLA, lookalike audiences, or you can put LL, LAL if you prefer, LLAL if you want, that's fine. And you're going to be putting $80 on a campaign, on that campaign, but be careful here. You're not going to use what's known as campaign budget optimization, which has recently been changing in some of our ad accounts. And I can't remember who it was that pointed it out in the Slack channel, but they are changing things. I think it's called the advantage, God knows what, which is Facebook's interpretation of saying, please spend more money with me. Mostly. But we'll go down that rabbit hole a little bit later, particularly when it comes to scaling and optimization. Okay, so but the naming convention is that, and the campaign budget optimization, what it means is that you could take your $80 and say to Facebook, go and spend this $80 across 4 different sub campaigns the way you want. Okay, we don't want that. What we want is to say, no, I don't want you, Facebook, to decide where to spend the money in my sub campaigns, which we call ad sets, by the way, in the Facebook world. What you're saying is, no, I don't want to do campaign budget optimization. What I want to do is go and set the budget myself on my sub campaigns, or in this case, ad sets. Okay, so you're going to set up, once you've created a campaign, you're going to be prompted to create one ad set 1, lookalike buyers of your 1%. This is just a naming convention again I'm using, and you're going to put $20 on that individual ad set or sub campaign, if you want to call it that. So remember, a campaign can have many ad sets, and each ad set can have many ads. In this case, we got 4 different ad sets. Okay, one for the buyers, $20. One lookalike off your leads at 1% at $20. Lookalike website 1% and 1% off your engagers. So you can see these are very different audiences. This is a lookalike audiences of your buyers. People have bought your insurance policy or your e-commerce product, or they bought your coaching program, or they bought your info product. You're going to put your buyers in one single ad set, and you're going to take 3 and place 3 ads. Normally you're going to start with copy number 1. I'll show you an example in a moment. You're going to put ad copy 1, headline 1, and you're going to put the call to action, learn more, and then you're going to put one of your 10 images in there. Okay, all right. And you're going to do the same ads in this ad set. So you've got ads number 1, 2, and 3 are in here. You're going to put ads 1, 2, and 3 in here. You're going to put ads 1, 2, and 3 in here, and so on and so forth. Okay, so they're the same ads, but are going to different audiences. The ad set, if for those who are not familiar with Facebook at this stage, in the campaign level, there aren't that many settings. In the ad sets, it's where you put your targeting and your budget and your bidding. The ads themselves is just literally the ad copy, the headline, the image or video, the call to action, and the destination of your landing page, and any tracking parameters. Okay, so just remember that your budget, if your budget, I'll talk about, I'm seeing questions come up which are really good, you know. I'll come to the answers in a moment, because I'm nearly at the end of this section before we get to TikTok. So we're getting close, folks. Campaign number 2. This is where your second bucket of audiences are going to come in. Remember, we had audiences number 2. We had 40% of the budget here. We had 40% of the budget on this campaign, but the budget is broken down into your individual ad sets. Okay, so on campaign number 2, you're going to have the same funnel name. You're going to call it book funnel, VSL funnel, appointment funnel, whatever name you want to call it. Just make sure you keep the same naming convention. Again, we're going to people that have never heard of us, and you're going for interests. This time you're going for what we call sometimes cold interest. It's the same thing, it's interest. And you're going to put $80 in that campaign, divided into 4 ad sets. You're going to put, for example, your $20 in your experts and influencers. You're going to put another $20 in your website podcasts, interest in small business owners, fields of study. Those are the kind of, that's just an example, folks, okay, on how we split this out. We put $20 on that individual. Oh, Aaron's joining the house. I can just see his thought. We're just going to put $20, and we're going to put the same 3 ads that we had in here. We're going to put them into the cold interest campaign. Okay. Finally, campaign 3, which had 15% of the budget, if you remember. So campaign number 3 is the budget where you're going to put campaign number 3, or whatever the name of your business is, or what offer you're making, the funnel, book funnel, VSL funnel. This time we've used the terminology RET for retargeting. Okay. You could say hot if you wanted to. You could put BOFU if you wanted to. That's fine. You can put whatever terminology you want. Okay. And then various. Various because we're retargeting various categories of audiences. Okay, so we're retargeting the people that are book call that didn't close into a sale. We're retargeting the leads that didn't become a book call. We're retargeting website visitors, or our Instagram. I should put IG there. I've got that wrong. FB or IG engagers We're going to retarget those because they haven't opted in yet and haven't bought our and signed up for our lovely free gift. So this is retargeting, okay? Again, remember, this is a conversion campaign. Campaigns 1 and 2 are conversion type campaigns. They're not clicks, they're not engagement campaigns, they're conversion type campaigns. And campaign number 4 is the only exception. This is a campaign type called engagement video views, which is what I was just talking about now. And here you're just going to spend $10, you're going to put $5, and I've just put an average breakdown here. I had like 70, 20, 10. You put like $5 on your cold buckets, and you're going to put 3 of your cold bucket videos in there. Cold bucket video number 1, cold bucket video number 2, and cold bucket video number 3. Then your warm bucket, you're going to do the same. You're going to put 3 videos in your warm bucket. And finally, you're going to put 3 more videos on your case study, testimonials. So those are the sort of 4 main campaigns that you have to get ready. And as you can see, we've got 30 days because we're doing a lot of things in those 30 days as an agency. In principle, a media buyer would have this ready within a couple of days, okay? An experienced media buyer would have the copy written, the headlines written, the images selected, and then if you take in maybe something when and explain the video, then you're maybe going to go to 5 days, but no more than 5 days would you need to actually create these assets. So you could launch in principle, not as long as you got everything else done. You would just simply go ahead and set it up in a shorter time frame. But don't rush this. Remember, you've got the empathy mapping, you've got the content mapping to complete, you've got to shoot the videos, you've got to edit the videos, you've got to set up your audiences, you've got to export things from your CRM, you've got to do all of these pieces, and you've got to get all this set up before you hit any campaigns to go. Now, there's just one last slide I've got on Facebook, then we'll go to questions, and if we have time, I don't know how we're doing on time. Wow, it goes so quickly when we're having fun. There's one other sort of final campaign I'm going to explain to you. This is a little trick that we developed here in 7 Mile, and it's what we call a special. It's a 5th campaign of sorts that never runs any traffic at all. And you think, well, what's the point of setting up a campaign that runs no traffic at all? Well, it's called an ads container campaign. And it's literally one single conversion campaign with one ad set in it, and that is all. And what you do is you go in and create all your different combinations of copy, headline, and image, and video, and call to action if you decide to test call to action into individual ads. This particular is quite a young account. It's only got 38 ads, but they're all variations with different images and different ad copy. In this case, you can see we've got a naming convention. We've got ad 01. I'll come back to this number in a minute. They're all using headline number 2. They've got copy number 1. And then that's just the learn more button. Then they're using image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4, 5, 6, 7. This one, 14, 15, 16, 17. The reason there's a jump in this particular case is because the client did not approve images 8 through to 13. Okay, that's why you're seeing this skip a little bit in here. But once you create the campaign with one single ad set with a silly budget like $5 a day, you go in and create all your ads in here. Once you've created them, Facebook will approve them. If they do approve them, that is, okay? Because sometimes they reject them. If they reject, maybe you have to look at it and rework the copy, etc., etc. So the goal of this exercise is twofold. One, it's to get your ads pre-approved by Facebook. That's the first goal. The second goal is that once the ads are approved, in fact, when you create the ad and it's approved, once it's created and published, so it does have to be published, what Facebook does, it creates 2 things. It creates what's known as an ad ID and something called a post ID. The ad ID is what you see typically on the top right hand side, unless it's disappeared now in the interface, but it's just a unique identifier for the ad in the Facebook ad system. The post ID is the actual post that is live into the Facebook world. It's like you've got an internal reference number and an external reference number. What you need to do is, once you have got this ad published, is to preview that ad, and then you need to extract what's known as the post ID. And this is the number in here. This is that number in here. That's a post ID, folks. There. And you can see we've actually included it in the actual ad name itself, because each ad has a name. We've actually included it in here. This one is basically been taken from the preview of the ad itself. And the reason we do that is because when you are creating those other campaigns that we talked about, when you are not the video view ones, but when you are doing this, you will use what's known as the post ID instead of publishing a new ad. Because what will happen is that these ads will get likes, shares, comments on them. And so you can reuse the same ad over and over again in different audiences, folks. And all you're doing is just building up social proof. If I took this ad, like ad number 1, and recreated it from scratch in the actual production campaigns, the ones that are actually going to generate the leads and sales and that sort of thing for us, it would create another ad. It looks identical. It's got the same headline, same copy, same image. It's identical in every shape and form, but in Facebook, it's not. So if you create this special ads container campaign, then you will get what's known as the post ID, and you can take that post ID and you can use that in your ads in the other campaigns, if that makes sense, you know? And it's a really simple way, essentially, of just keeping everything clean in one single place. It's like an inventory, right? It's like, instead of having it in Excel, you just have it in here, for example. Okay. And the great thing is that you build up social proof with all these ads over time. So like we saw the unicorn ads, it's very easy for you to manufacture unicorn ads when you know which ads are working, obviously. Okay. So with that said, I've come to the end of the torture with Facebook ads. Some of this obviously is super familiar to, and others it's not. And Aaron, I see you've joined the call. We've agreed that I will take them through a walkthrough of creating a Facebook campaign from scratch as a little bonus. I will do like a mini workshop or something like that, and I'll show them how you actually go and do this in the flesh. Okay.
Good. Can you make one that just sends like a 20 ROAS and sell something that we have? That'd be great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I knew you would say something like that. That's so.
Well, we'll just take one of the DM products and get an affiliate link, and we'll go sell a shit ton of it. It'll be fun.
There you go. There you go. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to actually do that exercise on the next session, not today, but we'll do that at the beginning. And if we don't have time to go through the Google search and Google, the Google side of things, then YouTube side of things, we'll just keep adding bonuses. How about that? We'll figure out the dates, everybody. So looks like we're going into August, a little bit longer into August than planned. And that's great for us. We're super happy to help you out. So that's all of the Facebook side of things. The next stage is to go through TikTok. This is only 5 slides, so it's nowhere near as long. But I think it'll be a good chance to perhaps stop right now and just answer the questions, if that's all right with everybody else.
Yeah, we can potentially even wrap TikTok onto the top of the next module if need be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, because we have got some questions.
Oh, okay. All right. Then we'll do, what we could do is demo and TikTok next week, next Tuesday. Are you all ready for a Facebook and TikTok party, everybody?
Woohoo. Come in.
We can
All
do
right.
a wave. Maybe we can do a wave on Zoom. Let me just see if I can get my video to work. That would That would be nice. Let me see if I can get my video before I blow it up. But let's go through the questions without further ado. Let's knock on with the questions here.
All right, so we're going back to Elizabeth, who says, we're a brick and mortar store, no online purchase. Rather than just upload a buyer's audience to set up offline conversion tracking that may or may not upload at a high enough percentage, is it possible to create a page or Facebook form that customers sign into in the store at their purchase time that fires a purchase conversation in Facebook?
Yes, there is. And we have this situation arise quite often in a different scenario, but it's the same problem. So if we have a sales team, for example, that's selling a product on the back end physically, or a coaching program or whatever, oftentimes we lose the tracking ability and it breaks, right? So what we do is we usually create it for them. We create a purchase order page with a thank you page, and the thank you page fires the pixel to push the data back in to where we want it to be. And you could do exactly the same thing with your brick and mortar business. Is when they purchase, you could somehow have it redirect to a thank you page or something after that just has your pixel on it that pushes the data back in. Does that make sense?
Question about that. Should that be created on Facebook, or is that in the website, or do we just need any kind of a landing page that's not website?
No, a lot of people think like there has to be some flow through to like keep it all in there, but anything that you create digitally that fires the page, like whether it be, let's say somebody buys something in your store, right? I'm not sure how you check them out. I have to assume that it's like you have the SKU, you press submit for your own inventory tracking, and then I'm not sure what happens after that. But if after that the pixel fires, it's still going to fire that data back into Facebook because the pixel is located on that page. Does that make sense? So it's really just like normally what you would do, except it redirects after to a thank you page and put your Facebook pixel on it in your inventory management software.
Let's go and get my camera on working.
Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah, we do it. We've had many clients tell us, oh, we'll just like, we'll cross-reference the email from the buy from the thing and like, shut up. You're going to make a thank you page and put the pixel on it after. Thank you very much.
That's right. Do it properly. Yeah.
All right, so Victoria is asking, is there a minimum number of contacts to upload to create lookalike audiences?
I don't know if there's a minimum. I feel like it used to be 100, but I don't know the answer to that.
We'll have to check, but I'll have to check with one of our media buyers that's on the coalface every day. But I've uploaded, believe it or not, lists of 50 people, and it's worked. So just try. And if it says, oh, the audience is too small, we can't do anything, then you've got to get more. But I think it was 100 at the time.
I think it was 100 originally.
Yeah. In Google, it's a different proposition. You can't even get to similar audience. You can't create like similar, they call them similar audiences in Google. But you need to be authorized and have spent $50,000 or something like that, isn't it? I think Uzair would know. He's a geek in Google, but you do have a qualification, isn't it, Uzair?
They have taken out that criteria for 50 grand now.
Oh, have they? Oh, that's a good move. Yeah, they used to sort of say they used to have that, but that's gone. That's good.
Yeah, Lauren says it's 100 for custom lists now, and 1,000 is the recommended amount for proper data modeling. And Sydney says, I'm feeling sassy today. Sydney, if you talk to Andy, he'll tell you I am sassy every day. It's amazing that it's gotten to module 5.
And I'm here for it. I'm so here for it.
I am always feisty.
Yes.
Okay.
So, folks.
All right. So now Brian's asking a question, and I don't remember what we were talking about, but he says, can you explain 1% and 2%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So what essentially it's doing is it's 1% of the population of the country in question. So what it's doing is it's by layers, and then it goes up to 10%. So
Excuse me.
let's say we upload a list of leads from your active campaign, and you've got, let's say, 200 leads in your active campaign. What Facebook is going to do is it will analyze that data. It will look at their demographics, their behaviors, it will look at everything. And then it will look at those and it will say, now I understand what this audience looks like from a demographic and from an interest point of view. They know what they're interacting with in Facebook, okay? The first thing it's got to do is match up the email address, okay? So, but once it's done it, then what it's doing is saying, out of the United States, which is what, 350 million population, but not the population of the US, it's 220 million active Facebook maybe users in the US. It's saying, how many of them, and what are the top 1% that are so similar to the list that you've uploaded? The 2% is a little bit less quality, and it keeps going like that up until 10%. So the 10% is like a sample size of similar people with similar characteristics, but it's only up to 10% of the population. Does that make sense? I don't know who was asking the question, but it's just a modeling that Facebook does, and it's based on the population. So if you're targeting Ghana, for example, but India would be huge, right? I mean, it's just the lookalikes are based on the population sizes of the countries, and you can do it by continent, by the way.
The other thing that's really important to know with lookalikes is that the 1% is the most hyper targeted attributes of the algorithm. So when you go to a 2%, it's a larger audience, but slightly less targeted than 3%, then 4%, then 5%, and so on. But sometimes, this is why we always test them all. A 1% might cost you more, a 2% might cost you less because it's a larger audience that's not as specific, but your ROAS might be better on a 2 than a 1 because you're paying more for the 1 than the 2 or the 3 or the 4 or the 5, right? Which is why we always test them independently to see what gives us the best return on ad spend.
Great point. Yeah, exactly.
I got it. So Pritesh is asking, can one install a Facebook pixel on multiple domains? Should one install different pixels for different types of businesses?
So the answer,
sorry, I'll let you answer if you want to answer it, Andy.
well, you answered the first one. And the second one, yes, you should have different pixels for different audiences. So let's say you got an e-commerce business, you're going to put, and it's about, I don't know, pet clothes or pet toys or whatever it would be. And then the other one is about ladies' handbags. You definitely need different pixels for different products, right? I don't remember the first one. First part of the question. Maybe you.
The first one was, can you put a pixel on multiple different domains? The answer is yes. All your questions are really about what does the pixel give me and where should I put it? You want to put the pixel anywhere that it gives you more of the same data that you're looking for. So in a perfect world, and this is an example, right? If I could find the 10 highest volume women's handbags e-commerce stores on the planet and pay them all $500 each to put my pixel on their purchase page and feed all that data back into my account, I would love that, because then I'd be stealing everybody's purchase data and it would be amazing. Great strategy. Never tried that. Maybe we should try that, Andy. We should start paying people to put pixels all over their purchase confirmation pages, right? But like Andy said, you wouldn't put your pixel on Dave's real estate investing course when you're selling, hamster beds on your e-commerce store. That'd be stupid, right? Because you're feeding data back into the system that makes no sense.
That's right. Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. Correct.
Great. We have a question from Kevin. It's a 3-parter. He says, Kevin, so do you run both 1% and 2% LLAs immediately, or is it based on some decision process like how strong the starting numbers are?
We run them immediately if they have data to run them off of, right? So if somebody comes into us with a cold offer, which is fairly irregular, we'll say to them, hey, let's go get a list of buyers and upload it as a custom audience and do LLAs off of that. But it's less now of our focal point than now moving into phase 2, which is interest audiences, right? So as long as they've had previous historical data, then what we'll do is we'll start doing LLA campaigns right away, and we'll start with closest to source and we'll move to furthest from source. So closest to source would be buyers. If we're looking at, let's take an example, if we're talking about an e-commerce store, right? Closest to source is buyers. So we'll do 1 to 5 in separate ad sets of LLAs on buyers. And then we'll do the same thing on add to carts. And then we'll do the same thing on website visitors. And then we'll do the same thing on engagers on the page. And then we'll do the same thing on video views, right? And we'll just see, and in the theory, the purchase one should work the best, and then the add to cart should work the second best, right? And then the landing page views should work the third, and then the engagement should work fourth, and then the video view should work fifth. But you just don't know until you test it.
So that's a phase 2. Well, remember, we just got in scope because we're going to talk about that actually in the optimization and testing session, which will probably not be next Thursday now, but the following one. But when you're starting out, just start with the 1%. The 2% are there in case that when you launch, your 1% just completely tank. You've got the 2% at your hand, ready to put into another ad set that you could run. But generally speaking, well, almost always, I would say 99% of the time, our campaign number 1, which is containing the lookalikes, they're doing lookalikes at 1% because we know that's the highest quality, statistically speaking, highest quality audience that we have. The interests are separate in a separate campaign, as I outlined in the slide deck. And you'll probably have to go back to this recording and have a look at the slide deck again when we upload it later today. But
it's really important because we had a lot of people asking about like, well, what do we do with small budgets, right?
Yeah,
small budgets. That's where you're going first because that's the closest to source. That's the closest to source for data in the algorithm. So that's where I'm going first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that differentiation between 1% and 2%. You said it was a 3-parter though, no?
Yes. He says, how does this breakdown look in the budgeted amounts to each? Is it equally?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to the slide deck actually for a moment, folks. Let me just go to that particular slide with an example because I had an example up here, didn't I?
Yeah, you actually covered the percentage. Thanks. So we can skip that one.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay.
Fine.
And then the last was just about any caveats. Never ventured above 2%. So was you said you guys go up to 10 and
as we start to scale, absolutely, because obviously when we're coming in with the small budget, we're just going after the ones, right? Like I'll test purchaser, add to cart, landing page views,
exactly.
Maybe page engagers. Page engagers is a really overlooked, valuable audience for some reason. People don't target it. But then once we start to get into scale city, if I'm starting to cap my ability to scale on that 1%, then I'm starting to go 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I literally test everything that those guys will give me, right? And sometimes there's less competition in those bigger LLA groups, or the competition is too fierce for pricing in the smaller ones. So we start, and then when we start to scale, we go out. I've had some of my best campaigns all time be LLA 10%.
Yep.
And you're like, wow. Interesting, right? But test everything. Our team, I don't get mad at our team. I don't ever get mad at anybody. I encourage my team to fail fast and fail forward. I have zero interest in you playing safe. I want you to test everything you possibly can and come back to me and say, holy cow, this new thing worked, right? You guys see like all the meme ads that are running now, that for like e-commerce or software or that kind of stuff, the meme ads in Facebook. That's because one of our campaign managers 3 years ago said, I'm going to run memes as an ad. And I was like, that sounds like the stupidest thing ever. I can't wait for you to test it. And we started running meme as direct response ads and we killed it. And I'm like, that's the kind of, I test everything, right? Like that just what's the worst that's going to happen? You spend $20 and find out you're wrong. Like, who cares?
Yeah, don't bring ego into it. It's math. Ego's got nothing to do with it. It's all math.
Yep.
It is math.
Simple as that.
So Lauren has a question. It says, can you discuss the time frame you build for those retargeting audiences? Do you make them as large as possible in 180 days, or do you make it most specific to the offer funnel?
We tend to go 180 days. I've seen guys like Max Finn in the past, like go super, super granular. Like first 7 days, you see this, and then you exclude the 7 days and you do this. And then 21 to 28. Maybe it works. I don't know. It's a lot of freaking work. We just go 180 days. But again, test it for yourself. I mean,
yeah, in any case, what we found, and when we do our sort of every bi-weekly or every 2 weeks, we have the deep dives with the CMs. And what we found is that the time to get more and more intricate, it may be applicable if you've got like a special offer running out, or you've got a very important event where tickets are closing and you've got a special discount. Then you might say just 2 days to go, just 3 days to go, that sort of thing on the retargeting sort of general, then you can certainly do so. But generally, we've found that the amount of work that is required to do that, follow that kind of approach, is not really worth it. We get quicker and faster results by just going 180 days, kill, launch, kill, launch, kill, launch. Just move the machine in the direction you want instead of trying to get too smart, so to speak. So
yeah, I remember when I read that whole like breakdown of time by week retargeting messaging thing, I was like, this is freaking genius. And then I set it up on 3 campaigns. Like I'm never doing this again. Like it didn't get me as good enough results for me to justify doing it again.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned Maxwell Finn. I like him so much.
Yeah, I mean, he's a sharp dude.
Yeah. Okay, so Malcolm is asking, would anyone else benefit from an overview diagram of how the entire solution is supposed to work? I feel a little like I'm walking through a forest, but I'm not 100% confident in the map, the reasons for certain paths. I feel like there are a number of things I might be missing.
Yeah, well, I think that's the workshop that the mini workshop that we're going to be talking about. So we'll see it in the flesh. I know some of you have already got a lot of things up and running in Facebook, and many of you haven't had a chance to go through paid traffic mastery. So we'll just workshop that one, and I'll show you what it looks like, or Aaron will, because he's just an animal in Facebook anyway. But one of us will do it.
Great, Malcolm. We will get to that then. So Chris said, have you had success in creating engagement campaigns for image posts instead of video views for the cold bucket stuff?
I don't like them because they cost more. Right. I'm just trying to create an audience and get awareness and have numbers for retargeting, and video views are just so much cheaper than page engagement on images. So I don't use them.
Yeah, we're much more, and everyone's very much afraid of video. You shouldn't be afraid of video at all. Everyone's sort of like taking 50 takes to take a video. Just get it out there and you'll get better with time. And it's not like you're exposing yourself to the United Nations or anything like that,
Yeah, and I see some sneaky buggers now, like on Instagram. One of my friends is doing it. I have to reach out to him and commend him on it. He's running images, but they're like 2-second videos. And so when people are hitting it, it's auto playing in it. So he's capturing the view.
Oh,
but he's doing it with an image, and then he's retargeted. I'm like, oh, you smart little bugger. And it doesn't look at all like a video. So that's somebody trying to do what you're talking about, but still get the cheap video view to retarget later.
Yeah. But in images, I mean, the general answer to the question is it's definitely far more effective for your brand and your messaging if you can do that on video, particularly that you put the work in on the content mapping. So you put the effort in, you shot your 2-minute top, your cold bucket videos and so on and so forth. So just put $5 behind it and you'll be good to go.
Great. Okay. So Lauren is asking, for e-commerce, are you mostly doing different campaigns per product and then retargeting with catalog and shop ad style conversion campaigns and launching with hero most popular ones for cold, and then upselling and cross-selling like a mad woman or man in the retargeting.
Do you want to go
Need
for
to
that
say
one,
that
Anna?
whole thing again.
That's one-
I know.
one- or come
It's
on the
summarized
mic.
in like 6 words.
Okay, Lauren, yes, maybe she could.
No, just long story short, do you use per product campaigns, like per product campaigns for like the top ones, and then not do all the products and just keep those in warm?
We use carousel. We'll always test carousel to see if we can get what we want at the price that we want. And sometimes it works depending on the product selection and the audience. But most of the time our carousel is retargeting and our direct response are independent to the product itself. Does that answer the question?
I mean,
Yes.
Lauren, you're going to have basically, one, you'll have, you instead of putting funnel name, you're going to put product name in the naming of your ad set, right? Product 1, product 2, product 3, or whatever, or you're going to have one campaign for this product, another campaign for product 2, another campaign for product 3. That's the way
Yep.
I'll reorganize it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Natalie, oh, sorry. Natalie is asking, so why not put 10 images and 10 ad copies in one ad versus making 3 different ads?
Because even whether you put it dynamic or
Dynamic.
not, Facebook still chooses to preference something way more often and way quicker than they should. So I'm trying to control the spend and the eyeballs as tightly as I can to get enough data to get a real decision. And even still, so I would never test 5 copy and 5 image at the same time. I would test 5 image with 1 base copy, get the best performing image, and then take, or images or 2, and then take my 5 copy and then test the copy with now the best performing images so that I'm only testing one type of variable at the same time.
Right.
And even in many cases, I'll go in and look at my test and instantly Facebook is pushing all my budget to 1 when they're supposed to be spreading it equally. And I'll say, screw you. And I'll turn off the ones that they're not spending. I'll duplicate the whole thing. And then I'll turn on the ones that they weren't spending to and delete the other one. And I'll force them to bend to my will and do what I want them to do, because they're not as smart as they think they are. And I want the data to prove whether it's right or not. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I'll see like 1,000 impressions on one and 16 on the other 2. I'm like, how the hell have you decided that that one's better when they've had 16 impressions so far? That's retarded. So then I'll just delete them and duplicate them and force them to spend it. And then I'll make my decision myself.
So basically never rely on Facebook's algorithm.
No, if you want to start talking advanced stuff, and I know that's Andy's probably gonna be like, oh dear God, please shut up.
No, not at all.
What I do typically is I'll do lowest budget and I'll run through my testing protocol. So I'll choose sort of like my 10 best audiences. I'll choose my base level of copy that I think will be the best. And then I'll go through a 5 to 10 image run and see what gets me the best click-throughs and conversions on the images. Then I'll take those, duplicate them so that I'm not changing the budget inside of something that's working. And then I'll take the best 1 or 2 images and I'll do 3 to 5 copy variations and I'll lock that in. And by then I should also know what my audiences are. But if I don't know what my audiences are at that point, then I'll take my best performing audiences with now my best copy with my best image, and I'll duplicate that all again. And I'll test another 8 to 50 audiences to get my sort of core best 10 audiences to now go with my best copy and my best image. And then I'll take all my best performers and I'll put them into what I call a bully campaign. Well, I'll put them up into a CBO campaign with dynamic creative.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know what that is, it basically means campaign budget optimization. So it'll move the budget around to whatever audiences or whatever images or copy they think are best, but I've only got my proven ones in there. So they can't screw with me at that point because I've already proven them out. And I'll put it on dynamic creative and I'll put a huge daily budget on it, huge daily, like $1,000 to $1,500. And I'll let it rotate through all the stuff I've already proven out. And often those campaigns will work for me for 6 months to a year. And then when things become hyper competitive, I'll even take it a step further. Well, I take that same CBO campaign, I'll duplicate that one and I'll start to test manual bidding where I'll go into a bid cap, for example, and I'll test that whole campaign now at 1 times my budget or 1 times my target CPA, 3 times my target CPA, and 6 times my target CPA, because now I'm not only got my best audiences, my best creative and my best copy and a big budget, but I'm now bullying everybody out of the auction by saying I'm willing to pay more than anybody else for this stuff. And oftentimes I pay less than everybody else because they're serving me the best traffic. But it's a process. You can't skip to that, because what most people do is they come in and they go, okay, I'm going to test 10 audiences with 10 pieces of copy and 10 images, and I'm just going to throw it on dynamic creative and let Facebook do what they want to do, because Facebook knows what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing, right? If you manually figure out all of those things and
Right.
then you lump them into a big budget campaign and let it rip, now you get to be the big bully on the block.
That's right.
If that makes sense to anybody, great. If it doesn't, you can ask questions in
Yeah, I mean,
Slack if it doesn't.
do you remember 3 years ago, or a little bit 2 years ago, I was running that campaign on that washer, the thing that you put in the washing machine, or
Yes. Yep.
So I was running that on a CBO at 5,000 a day.
Yep.
On dynamic creative, no problem.
Yep.
In fact, I had some like 20 to 25K a day just running on CBOs. That's all.
But I don't.
I went through all the iterations that Aaron went through. I went through all those iterations on copy, audience testing, etc., before. So I wasn't in that position until 3 months in.
Yep.
Okay, but when I got into 3 months in, I didn't have a problem with my 5K a day campaign, and 20K was going out of the ad account with the 3 ROAS, no problem.
Has anybody on here seen an ad in Facebook for a software called Pipeline Pro? Anybody?
No.
Yes. So Malcolm, okay. That's my company. So I took High Level, I white labeled them, and I launched my own CRM called Pipeline Pro. So I went through that exact same process that you guys are talking about. And I have my main campaign sitting at $1,000 a day. And I want the CPA to be 60 on my front end sale, but I have it set at 150. And it's been getting me front end sales at $37 is the price point, but I'm willing to pay 60 for them. It's been getting me CPAs of $67.
57 this week, Aaron. 57.
57. My apologies. I'm not running it anymore. The team's running it now. But they're $57 to get a $37 buyer. Plus I get the upsells. Plus I get the subscriptions, which makes me the most profitable SaaS marketer on the planet. And I've been running that at 30 sales a day for a year and a half on that campaign, because I did the work to get it there. And then I just bully everybody out after that.
With big caps, yeah.
With bid caps and proven creatives and CBO and dynamic.
What's the minimum budget you would use for a CBO?
500.
Okay.
You'll see it. It won't. So if you're just CBO and you're doing lowest cost automatic bidding, you'll find that the more you're willing to spend on a daily budget, the more stable it will become, because Facebook favors bigger budgets. So Lauren's got Facebook ad library up right now. She's throwing me under the bus. I guess I did it to myself. Yeah, there's meme ads in there too, just for shits and giggles, since we were talking about it earlier. And then when you go into manual bidding, what you will find is that if you set it up at $500 a day, and then you set your targeting at 1x CPA, then duplicate, then 3x CPA, then duplicate, then 6x CPA, it may not even spend, which is a really interesting thing, because what it's telling you is you're not in the auction yet.
Not yet.
And you have to keep going back and forth and increasing your daily budget. So I might go 500 to 750, and then I'll watch, and then I'll go to 1,000 and I'll watch. And there's a balancing act between what you're willing to spend daily and what you're willing to pay per sale, where all of a sudden you'll see it start to spend. So you kind of want to bump each one up like a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And then all of a sudden it starts spending, and you go, damn, that's where my competitors are. in the auction right now. And everybody else is getting the dregs underneath that because they're all bidding with lowest cost, but the big boys are in there doing manual bidding with big daily budgets, and they're scraping the best customers off the top. It's a bit of advanced conversation, but for some of you, you're going to be like, sweet, I'm going to go test that right now.
All right. So I'm going to have to investigate this now. I'm going to creep on Aaron's ads. So Pratash is saying, if my budget is $100 a day, do I simply cut the ad set budget across campaigns in half?
Yes, generally speaking, generally, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Jennifer's asking, okay, it's kind of long. So I'm going to ask, I don't know if she wants to ask it about her very specific audience of licensed health insurance agents.
Mhm.
We can get lists of licensed agents from the state's insurance department. We use email campaigns that send those licensed agents to our website. Because
Okay.
the audience is fairly small and we have high quality traffic to our site, do you still recommend building out lookalike and interest-based audiences or putting more budget to retargeting instead? We want to market to licensed agents, not people lookalike licensed agents. Or do we upload our entire list of licensed agents to Facebook?
Where's the I need to find the question. Okay, because there's a lot in there. There's a lot packed in there, Jennifer. Let me go here.
You might have to read it again. I'm trying to scroll up and read it myself. Okay, here we go. Our audience is very specific. Licensed health insurance agents. We can get lists of licensed agents from the state insurance department. Great. We use small campaigns that send those licensed agents to our website. Great. Because the audience is fairly small and we have high quality traffic to our site. Do you still recommend building out a lookalike audience, an interest-based audience, or putting more budget to retargeting instead? So I'm always going to try to put as much budget as I can into retargeting. My goal is 20% that's my goal, but I'm going to put as much as I can in until I stop getting the ROAS that I want. So it's basically as much as I can question, assuming that I'm getting the ROAS that I want. The question around your specific audience, we run into this often when we're targeting things like agents of industries, like real estate agents, insurance agents, like these types of people. We do a lot of job role.
Yeah.
So job role, job title, education sources. So if there's industry specific education, like they got to graduate from something, the list that you're doing is great. Lookalikes in that type of audience sometimes work, sometimes don't. So the short answer to the question is yes, you should test it. But if you've got the job role, the job title, where they got certified or graduated from, and a custom list of people in the industry, that's probably going to be your best source of data. And then obviously retargeting anybody that consumes your stuff and putting them back in is a must. The lookalike may work or may not. I've seen it go both ways in small audiences like this. I can only say test it. And I wouldn't go above 1% on any of it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah,
Yes.
does it make sense?
Okay, great.
Right.
So Elizabeth is asking, how much time do you dedicate to creative image and video creation in the process, whether coming from the client or in-house creation? If you only give a few days to an experienced media buyer to create the Facebook ads based on the creative already finished?
So my answer to this question is, how much time can you dedicate or should you dedicate? I mean, our experienced people will probably take, as I said, 2 to 3 days, they'll have that copy done, but that's an experienced media buyer. As I mentioned earlier, it can take up to 5 days. It's worth, I don't have a sort of an exact answer on this unless, you know, and lots of things going through my head, my apologies, I'm not being very lucid. So I would say that we try to dedicate a reasonable amount of time, but you're not a branding agency, you're not a Coca-Cola, you're not marketing a shampoo brand. Remember, this is direct response. You want to get an interesting image, and when it's a little bit when you're going through, for example, the image selection process, you can think of the obvious, like, oh, this is to do with, I don't know, coaching, fitness coaching. So you're going to go for people that are working out in a gym. That's the obvious one. But then you're going to start looking and browsing through, for example, some image libraries, and you may develop some conceptual ideas. It's really how good your creative muscle has been practiced. When you're promoting, for example, on an e-commerce, you're going to go for the obvious. You're going to go for photos of the handbag. And it's very important that you show good quality images of the product. But you may have that handbag modeled by somebody in a shopping mall. You may have that handbag modeled somewhere else. So it does take longer or less time, depending on how you feel your brand should be positioned. We're going for fast results as quickly as possible, based on running a minimum amount of budget to get the fast result, to get some real feedback from the market. So we don't, like a branding agency would spend 3 weeks debating an image and whether it has merit to go on a billboard, and that can be also used in a Facebook ad. That's not our case. It really comes down to your individual circumstance. So you can't spend too much time on it, but you do have to spend obviously some reasonable time of it. So I'm not sure if I'm answering the question or not. Who was that? Elizabeth? Yeah, it was Elizabeth.
I really like the, so have we ever had clients? So I'm going to answer this question because it kind of ties into it. Nicholas says, have you guys ever experienced clients rejecting the images you guys think will work because it doesn't fit their branding guidelines? Yes, we have them reject our copy, reject our images. Well, we have a client named Chris Haddad. I don't know if you guys know Chris Haddad. He's widely considered to be one of the top 5 copywriters in probably the last decade. He's #1 at ClickBank and all that stuff. He's one of our clients. And he actually has a rule in his engagement letters, which Andy, I meant to tell you, I want to put this in our agreements moving forward, that says you must be willing to try what I give you in the way that I give it to you, in addition to whatever modifications you might want to do with it. Because he found that so many of his clients wanted to modify his stuff and they took the juice right out of it. And so having that in an expectation set up front is really important. And like Andy said, you obviously have your base stuff, but then I think I was talking about this on Tuesday, and I thought I'll just bring it up. This is a client that we're bringing on right now, and I was reviewing his ads that he's currently running, and whoever did this is a freaking genius. I was like, what? This is a business that offers financing for coaches. And I opened this up and I saw that image and I started laughing immediately. And it says her orange career. I think this is supposed to say carrier. Yeah, it's orange carrier idea. Her orange carrier idea never took off, but her high ticket coaching business did. When you start playing with stuff and tying it into your direct response ads, like this is how you get click-through rates that are like 5 to 12 instead of 3%. Like, what is this crazy? Like, nobody likes these things in your yard. They freak you out, right? So like having that in as a thumbnail instead of having a talking head saying like, hey, let me show you how to do XYZ, right? I'm stopping and I'm looking, I'm like, what the hell? And then I'm going to read it, right? And it's going to, so don't be afraid of getting creative with your ideas and testing them. And if they work, they work. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. And again, that's all part of sort of the testing philosophy, as said. But yeah, it's a great example. I'm not sure if we answered your question accurately. Did we, Elizabeth? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yes, we did. I hate to stop with questions because we have about 9 more, but
9.
we've got a stopping point because I have another meeting to go to. I've never had this happen before.
Can we take those questions and put them in Slack or bring them up at the beginning of the next session, for example?
Yes, for sure I can. I can put them in Slack and I can save them for Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm going to download the chat as well so we don't forget ourselves. But yeah, we'll talk about them on, if I can get to them. I know that some people have asked some questions in Slack already, and we'll get to them either today or tomorrow at the very latest. So I'll answer these additional questions, but if we put them in there, I'll just go in there And if not, we can pick them up on Monday, Tuesday, sorry.
Oh, that'd be super. Thank you. Again, sorry about the cut short, but
Oh.
you just don't know what happens to the time. It's just
That's okay.
so.
We're all having too much fun geeking out with pierced orange pictures.
I know. Can't get that out of my head now.
That's the idea.
It's my mental Rolodex now. Is that-
Add it
so-
to the add it to the unicorn ad library.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Well, is there any homework for anyone before the next one, or?
No, I didn't actually invent any for this time, but it's sort of it's kind of tagged on with not having completed the TikTok side either. So we'll just take this session and then add it on to the next one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would think, there should be some things that you can take out of here that are high points, especially when you talk about naming conventions, post IDs, so that you can maintain the social proof on your ads, budgeting structures. If you have active stuff going on, go back and look through this and say, how can I make my stuff more efficient? Based on what we've learned here today, because a lot of this it shouldn't probably be new to a lot of you, but there should be some key takeaways as to how you can be a little bit more organized and a little bit more efficient in your layouts.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Definitely. And take the weekend off, no homework. So.
No homework. You just got to
No.
catch up on the homework.
Yes. Yes.
All right, guys, enjoy your weekend.
Today. See you guys on
Okay.
Tuesday. Thank you so much, Andy and Aaron. You're the absolute best.
Wonderful. See you
All right,
soon.
yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.